Welcome back to the next episode of Not Another Fitness Podcast with me, Finn, and my co-host and sidekick.
Who am I?
No, I'll try and figure something funny, say each time.
Well, you need to think
Not
before.
ideas.
Yeah.
So, it's been a while since we've done a podcast episode.
I'm busy.
I think this is like only episode 5, maybe.
Last
Something like that. But we're going to get straight into it. Today I want to do a subject that's been not playing on my mind, but I've been thinking about for a few weeks. And it's something that I've spoke to a lot of clients about and I've had a lot of conversations with people about. So I want to talk about it today, just about the subject in general, and hopefully it can help some of you because it's something that I've come across in the last few weeks. So yeah.
It's put me on the sofa like Gogglebox.
Yeah, we changed the format up a little bit. I want to be a little bit less formal. We were around the kitchen table. Now we're on the sofa in the living room.
Now you can see me.
Next
Fake Ugg slippers.
Next week we'll be in bed.
Hey, absolutely not. Just
That's
showing
the
off me.
You have to subscribe and pay for that one.
Try and get me sacked.
I'm not saying anything. What we could just be sleeping in bed, like literally going to sleep.
Can we just stop?
Anyway, so the episode is. I've got my slippers on as well. We've got our slippers
Yeah,
on.
these are like a cheetah mill special. 20 quid.
Proper chillax today. Yeah. So what I want to talk about is how to be perfect, and I've labelled the podcast episode that to kind of entice you in. And I'm going to start by what I've done actually is got the definition of perfection up on Google. So let's have a look what the definition is first. Just to explain a little bit what it is, and then we can go into talking about how to achieve it. So the Google's definition is 3 different definitions. So the state or quality of being perfect. That doesn't really define what perfect is. It's just saying.
Because you're not looking for the definition of perfect.
No. Listen, there's 2 more. But what I'm saying is that's just like.
Yeah, they don't go on it. Come on.
The next one, a person or thing is considered to be perfect. Again, just repeating the word and not explaining what it is. But I think this one explains what it is. The action or process of improving something until it is faultless. So I think that kind of explains it perfect, doesn't it? That was no pun intended. So yeah, the thing is with perfection is it's something that is basically something that's faultless, that has no problems, no issues, and never, if you're talking about human beings, someone who never makes a mistake. So how can you be perfect? So
well, it's quite ironic, isn't it? Because you have to make mistakes to get there.
Yeah, but do you have anyone in your mind who is a perfect person, or do you think anyone is perfect?
No.
What about?
I don't think you can be a perfect person, but I think you can do certain things perfectly within your life.
Yeah, so you think a not specific person is perfect? Turn your phone on silent.
I mean, no one knew if you
Terrible,
want to point that out.
Terrible. Not prepared.
Oh,
I'll sack it.
You'll have to pay me first.
So yeah, you think it relates specifically to a skill. So you can't have a perfect person, but you can be perfect at
certain things.
this thing.
Yeah.
Give an example then.
You could be perfect and have the perfect form for a deadlift. I could make a cake perfectly without faults.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
But then if you were making a cake perfect, would it not be perfect based, it's subjective based on what that person wants?
Yeah, but it would be perfect based on what I've been asked to give them.
Yeah.
That it is subjective. One cake for one person isn't what someone else wants. But if I do exactly like a picture that someone sent me and it's exactly the same,
and you've given
then
them
it is
exactly what they've
perfect.
asked for in their mind.
Yeah.
But could you not, again, just playing devil's advocate, could you not, they send you a picture of a cake and you make it even better than the picture? It's beyond perfection.
No, because it's not that, is
beyond
it?
their expectations.
What they ask for is what they want.
No, but let's say you just do a little tiny twist on, but you probably wouldn't. Let's say you did, just as an example, and it's beyond what they, because this picture is perfect to them, but you can go above that, so you can subsede the expectations. That's what I'm saying. So the idea that the ad originally is perfect has then changed because it's become better.
Yeah, but the existence of this better was never there. So had I just made the photo, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, but
You're
that's what I'm
moving the
saying.
goalpost because of
No,
the
but
perfection.
the point I'm trying to make is the goalpost can be moved of what you think perfect
always
is
be moved
in different directions depending on what it is.
What
that
I
you
thought
want.
was perfect 10 years ago, I probably don't think it's perfect now because my expectations have changed in any sense of the word.
Why though?
Because you change as a person and your views change.
No, but what did you think perfect was 10 years ago then?
I don't know. I suppose if I look back at the cakes I did 10 years ago, I was really pleased with them and proud of them. And they're nowhere near what I can produce now.
Yeah. But now you're making, let's say, 10 times better cakes. But if you made one that you made 10 years ago, would you be disappointed because you've progressed on so much?
I would.
So that's exactly the conversation I have with clients, and it's...
But I'd be disappointed because I know I can do better. I've done better. I can do better. So I will do better. It's not that... I'm not trying to reach perfection. I'm trying to reach a state of quality that I know I can reach, that I've reached before.
So it's more
and I'm
about...
not willing to drop below because I know I can do that.
So then it becomes more about progressing from one stage to the next.
Yeah. Always.
Not about the perfection of this. And this is something that the exact conversation that I've been having is like, we often, whether it be fitness, health, job related, whatever it is, we focus on the perfection side and we have this idea of this, if I do this, this is the perfection, or if I get this, this is the perfection that I've got in my mind. But actually, you kind of, where the joy comes from and the good feelings of making progress comes from is just going from one stage to the next, not achieving this level of perfection. Because even if you achieve this level of perfection, what you think is perfection, you can still always improve it slightly.
I don't know if you can. How can you?
Okay, so tell me something that's perfect, and I bet you I can make it. I bet you I can make it a little bit better.
How? Do like.
You'll give me an example.
But the cake example, if it looked exactly how someone asked for it, absolutely everything.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's subjective to that person. But if you got
perfection is always subjective, though. You can't say it's subjective to that person. Perfection is always subjective. It's just that sometimes the majority of people believe it is perfect, and that's their subjective view.
Yeah, and someone else might come along.
So do you base perfection on the majority of people believing it's perfect? Because not everyone
or
will.
Based on your own idea of what perfect is?
I'm probably the worst person to talk to this about because I am a bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah, but so am I. But this is the point I'm trying to make, is that I'm a perfectionist. There's nothing wrong with trying to have things perfect, but what we do in doing that is deny ourselves of, usually what I experience with clients is you deny yourself of the joy of making progress because you're so focused on, let's say, for example, a cake context, you're focused on making this perfect cake, which let's say give it a number of 10 out of 10 and you reach 9 out of 10, but last week you did a 2 out of 10. So you've actually made, a jump of a 7, but because you haven't hit that 10 out of 10, you focus on that and we focus on the negative.
I don't know, I wouldn't think of that. I think, right, what I've done from 2 to 9 is I've done this, this and this. So next time I'll have a look what didn't make it a 10. Okay, so the drip was a bit runny. Right, okay, so next time I'm going to do what I did from 2 to 9 and I'm going to make sure the drip isn't runny, which then will get me 10. That's how I see it.
Okay.
No one likes a runny drip.
But what I'm saying is that is less common that people will do that, because me, myself, personally, I do this in terms of work. I get this thing and I've achieved this, but it could have been this. It could have been better.
Yeah, but do you never have a moment? Like, I always, maybe I'm just really good at this. I have a moment.
Probably.
Quite good. Quite perfect. I have a moment where I think, oh my God, that is amazing. That cake is a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect. I can see a few kinks and little holes here and there, and the drip might be a bit runny. But that's blooming amazing. I love it. That's fantastic. And compared to what I did last week, I'm so proud. But actually, next time, I know I can make it even better.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's a really good attribute to have, because being proud of the progress that you've made is really good, because a lot of people don't do that unless we kind of set like mini goals. Sometimes I'll do with clients, because you're proud of every step in the progression rather than aiming. So for example,
I think I'm really good at it and I think you're really bad at it.
Yeah, I'm much worse at it than you, And I don't know why.
Because you'll do something amazing, and I always say to you, don't you, why aren't you just enjoying the journey? Because you'll do something really good in terms of the gym, and then you'll be like, right, we need to do this now. And he's not enjoying the moment that he's in. You think, oh my goodness, you've just sold out one of your challenges. You've never done that before. That's incredible. You've done so well. And actually, it's like, yeah, but next time I need to sell it out and then do something else on top of it. And you're like, yeah, but just sit and eat. You've just sold out your challenge. You've done amazing. Why aren't you just taking a couple of days to think how all the hard work you've put into it, to let that run through you and realise how amazing you've done? You're like, yeah, all right, sold it out. Okay, great. Now then, and there's no moment in your life to pause and reflect and enjoy what is happening at the time. When you do it, you look back and you think back for in 6 months' time, like, oh my gosh, I sold out my challenge then. And
yeah, I do, but
brief. Really
I do. Like, I'm proud of myself from what I do, but it's very brief. It'd be like, right, that's good. Then me like, what's next? How can it be better?
Whereas I'm like waltzing around my house with my cake, like, 9 out of 10.
But then playing devil's advocate, the other side of that is if you were just really overly proud of what you were doing, and you weren't focused on making it any better, maybe there's an element of settling.
But have you reached perfection?
No, that's exactly what we're talking about, isn't it? There isn't really any perfection, is there? There's only the next rung in the ladder, the next step and the progression.
Your views and where you want to go. Maybe you don't want to progress more than you already are.
Yeah, and also I think that's a skill to be content with where you're at. I think that's something that I envy of other people. But the good side of not spending too much time dwelling on, there is bad parts of it as well, but not spending too much dwelling on like celebrating or enjoying it is you're always focused on the next thing.
Yeah, but you're supposed to celebrate and enjoy something.
Which is bad as well. I'm not saying I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just saying that there's two sides of it, isn't there?
So if you get a degree, for example, I got a first in my degree. So if you get a first in your degree, you're telling me you wouldn't go to your graduation and celebrate. You just think, right, I won't sign up to a master's now because I've got to get a first in
No, that's an extreme. Nobody
yeah, but
that's
what you're like.
No, I'm not that.
Yes, he is.
No, I'm not, because I didn't get a master's, but I got a degree and I celebrated it.
Exactly. So why don't you celebrate the smaller things that you do? And I don't know if they are smaller things, because arguably they give you more than your degree gave you.
I suppose, yeah. But this is the problem, isn't it? And this is the problem that a lot of my clients have is when it comes to weight loss and getting healthier, they focus on, they've got this idea, usually because they look at social media and all the bodies and comparing themselves to all these fitness models, that they're looking at this idea of perfection of how they should look or how what they should look like. And actually in doing that, they're kind of denying themselves of, if you are 25 stone and you lose a stone and become 24 stone, that is amazing. But most people who do that look at someone who's 10 stone fitness model and, this idea of perfection of how they look, and then go, well, I've done this, but I'm not that. And that's what we all do. Do you know what I mean? And it denies yourself of the pleasure of going, I've done really well on my personal journey.
Do you think it's a mental health thing? I would say at this moment in time, I've got quite a good mental health. And I think I have done for quite a few years. And I've always been like that. But I imagine something traumatic might happen in my life. I might doubt how good I am at something. And I might doubt the progress.
Yeah, so in terms of maybe
like self-worth,
you want this. It depends on what the reason is you're doing it. So you can't really put it all under one umbrella. But sometimes if you're doing it for approval of certain people or of people, you think. So for example, a good example of this, people will think like, if I get a 6-pack, I'll automatically be happy and all my problems will be solved. Most people who actually do that realise that isn't the case at all.
They're miserable.
It's quite miserable because there's a lot of sacrifices that come with that. And also, it's not just... We have this idea, and I said, this is what I'm saying, the perfect thing is like, we have this, like, I suppose, cheesy, but destination mindset of we get to this place, whether it be a 6-pack or this job title, and we just then can relax and everything's okay. But actually, again, another cheesy quote is that it's about the journey, not the destination. But what that basically means is that happiness comes from progression, not from actually the destination. If that makes sense.
Well, it's a bit morbid, but the only destination in life is death.
Yeah, that's the only guaranteed
So-
destination. Not really. We've been a few destinations this year. Well, it's not. We've been a few holidays, haven't we? But it's
That's
not
the only guaranteed destination.
No, I
and
know what
think
you're saying.
Everything else is a journey on the way to that destination, and I think you've just got to make the most of it, haven't you?
But what I'm saying is, so many people I talk to have this. You're almost denying yourself of happiness until you get to
It's
a
so
certain
ironic
point.
for you to say that because you have
I would agree. But so I suppose it's kettle. What's the saying? Kettle calling pot.
calling the kettle black or something.
Something like that. So I'm not an expert. And I'm not trying to preach. This isn't what this podcast is. I'm not trying to preach saying, we've got the answers to everything. We're just discussing ideas and talking about personal experiences and conversations that I have with clients. And I certainly haven't mastered that, perfect thing or whatever. Or I'm getting better at celebrating progressions, though. I'm not amazing at it, but I'm getting better at it.
I celebrate them for you sometimes.
Sometimes, and you help me do that. But what I'm saying is,
buy them a card or
this is a skill that perhaps we need, or like most people need to work on, is like celebrating a progression in whatever that journey is. It doesn't even have to be health and fitness related. It can be, you plan to get this job, you plan to go on this holiday, and you saved up this amount of money, and that's progression in itself. But we don't, because we're always looking at the next thing and going, or we go, I've just had a brand new car, but I look at my next door neighbour's car and they've got a bigger, more expensive one, so how do I get that one? And we're almost kind of on this.
Yeah, but you're always going to have that in life. I think you're never not going to have that, because if you didn't have that, you wouldn't have aspirations. What you're describing to me is an aspiration.
Yeah, but when does it become dangerous? Because when, it's good to have people that you look up to and aspire to act like. I see that person, a lot of like my role models in doing what I do, I look at them and go, I want to do that, and then I go, how can I do that? And I'll do X, Y, and Z, and then in time as well, with hard work and time.
Well, I think it becomes dangerous when you stop celebrating the small wins. That's when it becomes bad.
No, but in terms of like comparison, like the car on your drive kind of thing, and compare it to your next door, when does that become dangerous? And actually, again, I suppose
when you stop celebrating the small things, like getting the car that you've got because it's better than the last one.
Yeah, but it depends on what the motivation is. If you're really happy with, I'm not saying if you have expensive cars, it's not healthy or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if you were happy with the one you got, you wouldn't compare it to your neighbours.
Yeah, but this is the problem, isn't it? A lot of us get something and it's not very long before we go, I'm happy for maybe a week or two, and then it's like...
No, that's you.
Well, it's not just me, though. It
I
isn't
still
just
love
me.
my car.
It isn't just me. It's conversations that I have with a lot of people. That's why we're talking about it now. And I'm one of those people, but... I suppose it comes back to when you're saying it's a mental health thing, as again, we're not experts in mental health, so if you are struggling, go see someone. But
talk from your own experiences. I haven't got a clue about
it. What I'm saying is, if the motivation is if I get this thing, then I'll be happy, that's when it becomes dangerous, because you can get that thing and then you want the next thing, and what you realise, they're all plasters in the journey of going, actually, I'm not solving the source of the problem.
That again is a mental health thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when it becomes dangerous. So, like, what I want is people to love me, and this happens a lot. This is an example,
this
not
sounds
a personal
a bit
example.
deep, doesn't it?
No, but just let me say. So, what I want is people to love me or people to like me. So, I buy this car, I have this house, so people look up to me. And what you actually want is just people to like you for your personality and accept you for who you are. But instead, you buy all these things because you think that impresses people, and that's a mask of saying, actually, did that make sense? That's an example. That's not me talking from experience, but this happens, whether you're chasing money or relationships, whatever. But
often in that scenario, people aren't truly being themselves, are they? I always say to you, I say it to everyone, you have to say what you mean and mean what you say.
I do think, though, as well, there's a societal thing of pressure to have said thing, especially in the UK. There's pressure to have the best car or the next best thing. When you go to like other countries, like that isn't what the culture's motivations is about. We're kind of on a little bit of a treadmill to get the next.
No, they are.
No, I'm not saying but I can't really speak for other cultures. But what I'm saying in the UK, especially, it's
snacking over my neck.
Terrible. The motivation is how much money can I earn? Can I get on that next run? Can I get that next car? Next bigger house, more bedrooms, etc. Whereas, like, I'm trying to think of an opposite example. Let's say the opposite example is like being in a tribe in the woods where none of the material things actually really matter. They focus on probably eating, drinking, survival, and just family and friends and enjoying. I'm not saying one's wrong or right, but I think there's that pressure from society to be perfect.
I don't know,
from
because
social media as well.
Always the pressure, but then where do you draw the line where you let the pressure get to you? Because again, yes, you're saying these pressures, but I don't feel them. So why would...
No, but a lot of people do, is what I'm saying.
A lot of people don't also.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's because you've got...
Oh, you have two hoops.
Maybe it's because you're happy and content with who you are and what you've got.
Possibly, but...
And you're not trying to do it for other people. If you want something, a better car, you're doing it because you want that car personally. That would make you feel better.
Well, it would be an aspiration for me. I think it's good to set goals and good to have aspirations.
Yeah, and obviously
and
we
good
don't
to chase dreams.
That's kind of exactly what we're saying, but I suppose it depends on where the motivation is coming from. If it's a personal thing.
Where do you draw the line though? Where would you, as a personal trainer, draw the line and say, Becky, you shouldn't be aspiring to have a six-pack. It's not good for you. Where's the line drawn? How do you know it's not good for me, but it's good for Bob over there?
Well, it depends on I think it depends on the person, doesn't it? Because depending on their personal circumstances, what the goals are, what lifestyle they want to live. You know, if Bob comes to me and says, I want a six-pack and I want to look like a fitness model, I'll say, right, we've got to do these things, X, Y, and Z, but you're probably going to have limited time going out with your friends and family. You're rarely going to go for a meal out, and if you do, you're going to have to be very conscious about what you're eating and stuff. You know, the extreme end of kind of making lots of sacrifices. But he then turns around and goes, it doesn't bother me. I'm happy with doing that, and that's what I want. Because there is people in I don't know, I know of these people in the fitness industry that love being an extreme person, and they get up out of bed, they love going to the gym twice a day, they love measuring the rice out on the scales and, you know, eating chicken and broccoli all day. They genuinely are quite weird in the fact that they love it. They love it. Maybe you could say they're a bit narcissistic as well, because that's the job might be to be in front of a camera and have photos and stuff, but they genuinely love the lifestyle that comes along.
Yeah, I don't know if that's weird. I think, again...
But an average person, let's say, you know...
It's subjective.
Janet, who's 30 with 2 kids or whatever, her getting this ideal physique, like a fitness model, is going to require a lot of sacrifices that are going to negate from her lifestyle of time for having a glass of wine and going out for a meal with her husband.
But it's not impossible.
Enjoying the Mackies with the kids. It's not impossible, but it always comes down to you've got to balance the lifestyle that you want to live with the goals that you want to achieve, and one usually negates from the other, and you have to be okay with... Like I see it all the time, like people doing extreme diets is an example of that. You do extreme diet, you lose X amount of weight or get to, you know, whatever that goal, weight loss goal is, but then realise, actually, I can't maintain this because all the things that I'm doing don't sit with the lifestyle I want to live, because I can't go out with my friends and have a glass of wine or go on a drink on the weekend, or because what I'm doing is too extreme, whereas some people are okay with that if you're a bit of a weirdo, but most average people aren't. And that's where we struggle with the perfection thing, because again, it comes from patience, I think, because we want perfect straight away. And then...
Maybe that's the difference. I have a lot of patience.
Yeah, well, that's what I don't, do I? But again, it can be a good thing that I have a lot of patience, because you get things done. Do you know what I mean?
But then on the flip side, you get annoyed when you don't get things done.
Yes.
Yeah, whereas I would be like, all right, it's not done, but there's no actual deadline on this, so I'll just keep going.
It depends on what it is. But again, so if we talk about weight loss, people want to lose, 2 stone in a day, like Peter Kay say. It's something ridiculous like that. And you can do extreme things with dieting and lose, weight. And I do think there is a place. An example was, remember your sister a few years ago when she had, was it some kind of work thing?
She
had a dress get into, and basically she had to go on quite an extreme calorie cut and diet, but it was only for 3 weeks.
And she got in the dress, didn't
Yeah,
she?
and she didn't need. It wasn't a massive amount of weight,
No.
but it was a few pounds. Wasn't it? Maybe half a stone in 3 weeks. So we had to go quite extreme with a diet, and she got fit in the dress in the end. But it was short term. You can't maintain. Most people can't maintain that extreme level of sacrifice 6-12 months a year, especially when you've got a full-time job, work, etc., kids, and all the things that come along with it. But unless you're a weirdo and you live for that, there are some people that...
It doesn't make you weird if you live for that, though.
No, there is. Yeah, what I'm talking about, like, and it is a bit weird, isn't it? Because
it's weird to you, again, that's subjective.
Okay, it's subjective. In my opinion,
them,
it's weird. It is weird. I'm saying that as someone who's done that as well, actually, in terms of doing quite extreme dieting, eating Tupperware for every meal, being really obsessed and scared of missing a gym session.
Eating Tupperware?
Eating out of Tupperware. I wasn't eating the actual plastic. But
well, you're blooming skinny.
I'm food poisoning from eating plastic tubs. So yeah, this is coming from a place of experience of doing quite extreme things and realising, no, I can't maintain that. And then still now finding the balance between living a life that you're happy with and, you know, still being happy with the way you look and feel and having energy and all those sorts of things. And that's what a lot of clients come to me with, is balance. We create the balance between those things, basically. But in terms of being perfect, this is the problem, isn't it? Because, again, going back to social media...
Is it a problem, though?
It is a problem, yeah. We're talking about in the context of everyone. You're just talking about your experiences.
I am part of everyone, though. You can't take away my opinion because
I
don't make up everyone.
What I'm saying is we've got to talk about everybody's experiences. Yeah. We can't just say, well, I'm okay.
But I'm saying, is it a problem wanting to be perfect? That's what I'm asking you.
No, but I think... No, absolutely not. I don't think that. I think we need to have a better, clear idea of what perfect is for you. Because this is where the social media and the comparison comes in, is you think perfect is... And the problem is with social media is, you know, I think it was Stephen Bartlett, I've just kind of read his book, he said, the problem is with social media is it's created a perception that social media perfection that everyone's posting is normality. So anything less than perfection is there's something wrong with you. Or
but that is also a point of view or opinion.
No, it's not, is it? Because social media is essentially a highlight reel, isn't it?
It is, because I could look at someone's social media and think, oh my goodness, you look absolutely amazing.
I'm not just in...
But I don't look like you, and I still think I look pretty good.
No, I don't just mean in terms of how people look. I'm talking about how people present their lives. People only post, like, a photo that looks good. Most people only post when they go on holiday.
Me and play devil's advocate again. Times. I don't know if they do. A lot of people now, I think more so recently, are posting things like, I'm having a bad time at the minute, this is what this looks like. I've just had my baby, look at my stomach, it's not nice, according to them.
Yeah.
And this is what I look like. I know there are a load of you out there who look like this too.
Yeah, so more relatable content of going through bad times. The other side of that is there are also people that are jumping on that as a bandwagon, which can be a bad thing, and just trying to pretend that they're experiencing certain things to be relatable to their audience to grow a following. I'm not saying that's everybody, but that does actually happen. There's people that say, oh, I've gone through this and I'm experiencing this. So their audience will watch it and, you know, send it to the mate. And
well, is that a bad thing if they are open? I know they shouldn't lie and say they're going through something they're not going through, but if they're bringing awareness to that situation, is that a bad thing?
It depends on the context again, doesn't
it? Well, it does, because I don't know what you're on about.
So, okay, in the fitness industry, an example of this would be, you know, me, for example, I've really never struggled with my weight. I've always been into fitness. I've always liked exercise. And I've never been, you know, really heavy, really big. So I've never experienced that level of kind of size and all the feelings that come with that. But then again, I speak to a lot of clients who've been through that and I can empathise with their situation.
So would it be wrong for you to say, I was once really fat and now I'm not, and these are all the things I felt, knowing that someone who really went through it had felt it? But if
because
you're
I'm
doing
telling
that
a story
video,
that isn't true.
But if you, it is true, but just not from you. So if
I'm telling someone else's story and I can say, oh, I relate to these feelings, which is part of my job to do
but
that.
Even what I'm playing devil's advocate here. Even if you didn't feel those things yourself, but you know somebody who exactly went through what you're on about did feel those feelings, if your video then got a wide reach to people who it helped because they thought, I feel that way too. Even though it wasn't
that's
you that
essentially
went through
what
it.
I do. Yeah. I'm putting content out there to an audience that I want people to hear and listen to and understand and go, oh, I feel like that. But if I start lying, then it becomes a problem and saying, well, I've been through this.
If it's true.
No, you're kind of mixing the two up, aren't you? If I'm saying I've been really overweight. So it's getting confusing, but let's say a simple example. I start doing a video of me squeezing my rolls and going, oh, I'm really big and fat, and then post that video, people are going to think...
What rolls?
What are you talking about? So if I then start saying, oh, I'm really struggling with my weight and, you know, I'm blatantly lying and people are going to see through that because it's bullshit. But if I'm trying to post that content so people will relate to me because they think, oh, if Finn feels like that, he understands us. But I don't do it from that. I would never do that. What I'm saying is I can empathise with those people because I've worked with so many of them, not because I've experienced it personally. And that's the difference, and that's what I'm saying in terms of people posting on social media, the bad times as well as the good. That's a really good thing because it's not creating this perfect world and perfect kind of life, which, you know, we all know is bullshit. But there can be some people who will jump on that as a bandwagon and just try and pretend they're having a bad time. You know, I'm living in a mansion and...
So my other question to you is there no perfect life?
No, I don't think so. In terms of life, no, that there is perfect in certain contexts.
What if I had a car that I loved and it was the best car, and even though someone out there might have a better one than me, I love mine and I think it's the best for me. I've got a family and a husband and children who I love, and I could have more kids but I don't want them. I could have a different man but I don't want one. I love the ones I've got. That is perfect for me. I've got a job I love. It's perfect for me. I don't want a different job. It's perfect for me.
Okay, so you're saying, let's say the scenario
so you're
where
telling
everything
me
is perfect.
You can't have a perfect life? You're saying people only post these perfect lives, but what if in their eyes their life
No, there will
perfect?
be some people that are... Yeah, but I would probably argue if you did have a perfect life, you wouldn't be trying to tell everybody about it, would you? Just
what if you just... It. Yeah, but what if you just update your Instagram like everyone does?
That's fine, and you are genuinely happy. If you're genuinely happy and you genuinely enjoy your life, and
what's wrong with that? People are trying to take away from people enjoying their lives. They're trying to say you only post your good bits. That's not okay. But why is that not okay? What if
I'm not saying it's not okay, is it? I'm not saying it's not okay, but what I'm saying is it plays into the narrative that people's lives are perfect. So for when someone doesn't have something that's perfect or they're having a day that isn't good, they feel like there's something wrong with them, and we can create a more normality of
but what actually if you don't have bad days? So you can't post them if you don't have them.
There isn't nobody who doesn't have bad days. So there's people who are less frequently. There's nobody who doesn't wake up and feel tired or a bit ratty, and it might be less frequent if you've got a lot of good things in your life in terms of your family and friends and your work, and you're enjoying all the aspects of your life. Definitely there's people who have easier times and people who have harder times. But what I'm saying is there isn't no perfect life. No, I don't think there is.
But what I would say is for those people who are living those lives, they might just post like normal, like everyone else does on Instagram, and people go and be like, oh, they've got a perfect life, and maybe they do.
Yeah, if in their perspective, subjective. But again, go back to the definition that we spoke about at the beginning. You know, perfection is about being faultless, and even if that person with the perfect life and everything's perfect in their eyes, someone could go in and go, "There's a fault there," and that becomes subjective. It was you to say that. It's not your life. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that's why I'm saying I don't think there's a perfect life, and if people can accept that more and be okay with.
Would you not always say, like, the perfect life is above the one you've got? Is that what you're trying to say? So
that's progression, that your life is progressing.
Is that what you're trying to say, though?
That's what we should aim for more.
So, for example, someone who lives in the slums in Kibera would say their perfect life might just to be live in a one-bedroomed house somewhere.
Yeah, because that's a progression from the stage that they're in. It's not perfect, it's a progression.
It's perfect to them though, isn't it?
And it's what they want.
Who are you to say that's not perfect?
Yeah, but I think you're mixing up with like what their goals are from perfect, because...
I don't think you can mix that up, because that is exactly what perfection is.
It isn't. Perfection is about being faultless, and there isn't anybody who lives any life on this planet that does not live a faultless life, because without that, we would just be robots that do the same thing, make no mistakes, don't fart, don't shit,
But
don't do
who are
anything
you to
wrong.
say that farting and shitting isn't
No,
perfection?
that's just me being silly. But what I'm saying is, you could go into this perfect person's life, perfect, and there'd still be, okay then, you're having a perfect life, your mum dies. That's not perfect,
yeah,
is
but
it?
that
You're going through something that's hard.
So this is what
So
we've
then-
said, though. You can't... Can you sustain a perfect life all the time? You can't, can you? Because life isn't that way.
No, and that's exactly my point. Why there's no such thing as a perfect life. Any point you get is just a progression.
But we said this, didn't we? That you can't... Your life wouldn't be deemed as perfect. You have to pocket it off into smaller little bits. So do you have a job that you deem perfect? Do you have a car that you deem perfect for you in your life?
Which is fine. I'm saying that's fine.
I've got
That's
5 kids and a husband, so I've got a 7-seater car. That's perfect for me.
So we can say, I think we can say, I've got the perfect car for me.
Yeah.
We can say,
You
this
can.
is the perfect house for me.
Yeah.
We can say, this is the perfect partner
Yeah.
for me. But we can't say we've got we can't say we've got a perfect life, because there's so many elements that we can't control.
I agree with that, yeah.
That it isn't perfect. So
Yeah.
instead of trying to aim and get this perfect, we need to then maybe go, what progression can I make?
So do you
Whether
not
that's
think
in
you
a
have
car
to-
or in weight
Yeah.
loss, in health, in
Yeah.
maybe you want to have a kid, whatever. The
So-
goal should be progression, and that's how that's a more of a healthy
To break
relationship.
everything down and then look to improve smaller aspects of your life, and then eventually, do you think that brings happiness?
Yeah, because like we spoke about again, you're celebrating those small wins, I suppose.
Yeah.
And again, I know I used this example earlier, but a weight loss example of this is, if you are 20 stone, in your mind, I have this all the time with clients. They have this perfect weight. When I was 21, I weighed 10 stone, let's say, as an example. Now they're 16 stone because of what's ever happened. And because until they get to that 10 stone in their mind, which is perfect, they're not going to give themselves any kind of pleasure or celebrate the wins. And this is the problem, because the idea of perfect they've got in their mind, they're denying themselves of any kind of joy throughout. Like, let's say they've been exercising regularly, they've been eating regularly, their energy's better, all these things. They might have lost half a stone or a stone, so they're now 15 stone, not 16 stone. But because they're not 10 stone and perfect and look like this fitness model, they're unhappy and they're denying themselves of that kind of happiness and pleasure of making progress on their own journey. And if we can focus on progress in anything, essentially, we'll be happy. Do you not agree
Yeah,
with that?
people do though. You can't say not everyone does that, because they do that.
And I'm not saying this because I know all the answers. I'm saying it. I'm kind of talking to myself here as well. In
I
like
think
you said, it works
sometimes though,
out,
people
but-
forget that you are somebody else's perfect. Like I was saying the other day, one time, I think I've put on about eight pounds since we went on holiday in July, through all my million holidays. I think, oh, blow my neck, I've got a little bit of weight on. I'm going to have to shift that over the next few months. Someone else might look at me with my extra 8 pounds and think, I wish I looked like her.
Exactly, and this is
And you forget that, I think, sometimes. My state of being, overweight or heavier for me, somewhere where I wouldn't normally be, somebody else might really want. And for somebody else who feels like they've put weight on and they're feeling a bit puffy, I call it, might be what I would like to look like. So, you might be someone else's perfect, but sometimes it's hard, isn't it, to think, I love the way I am if you've been different.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
I think
like
that's
what you
how.
were saying with being 21. I've been 10 stone before, so I know I can get to 10 stone. I've done it before. And that's...
Which is, I would say, a better comparison, because they're comparing themselves to where they once were, where it becomes dangerous. And it's also a good thing, in my opinion, again, is if we look at other people too much and compare ourselves to all these people and want what they want and go, I wish I looked like that, I wish I had that, I wish I did that. It's good because, it gives you scope and doing better and changing your life to the way you want it to be.
Mm.
But if we just compare to everybody else, there's some things we can't have. Like, for example, there's things we can't control. Me saying, I wish I had brown hair like him. I can dye it, but, I would never get naturally brown hair like John, well, I'll always be ginger. And when it comes to comparing your body and your image and the way you look to other people, it becomes dangerous, because if we put 3 people and I put them on the exact same diet, the exact same training plan, and control every variable in their life, they will still all coming out looking completely different.
People hold weight in different places.
Because I suppose genetically you dealt the cards that you dealt. And again, this is cheesy, but this is a really good quote to kind of sum up this. And I think we've been talking for a while, so we'll come to a close. You've probably got bored and switched off by now.
I don't know, I don't feel like it's been that long. I've got a lot more left in me.
A really good quote to sum this up, and I can't remember who said it, but it was something like, if we see ourselves as chefs and think, basically, what can we cook with the ingredients we've got? It's not about the ingredients we've got, it's what we make out of those ingredients. And we've all got different starting points, whether it be financially, the way we look, the way our bodies are.
Genetically,
some people are more definitely in better positions than others in all those aspects. But if we constantly compare ourselves to those people, it can be dangerous. It's about making the best with the ingredients that you've got. And that's why, again, coming back to focusing on the progression side, not perfection.
I think a nice final note, do you think it's important to spread the love and congratulate people on the small wins? I think me and you are quite good at that, but I think maybe the industry that
comes from, I didn't used to do that before I did this job. As a man, I think it's harder.
I did. I always have done. I've always been like that. But I think I've grown up in a home where it's always like, oh, well done, you've done this for the first time, and that's amazing.
Yeah, maybe it comes from a family environment, but I think
I do that with strangers. I've before said, oh, I don't know, I really like your top, or I don't even know him. I just say, oh, I really like that, that's really nice. But same with when you filled out a challenge, I make it a thing to say, babe, you've done amazing, you filled out that challenge, you've never done that before, that's so good. Making it a thing that you're saying that they've reached this stage.
Or even just as simple as, I love that dress.
Oh, I see that.
But I think,
only if it's true.
I think again, different men from women, it's a little bit different.
But it's not different at
all. It's less frequent, though,
but do you think
in my experience as
yes, but I believe that's wrong personally. But do you think it's important to celebrate people's wins?
Yeah.
For them almost when they can't. Not that they can't do it, that they maybe wouldn't so much as do it because they might be lacking in confidence a little bit. Do you think it's important that you go up and say, oh, Bob, oh
whether
my gosh,
it's a friend or a family,
you're saying you've lost 2 stone. That's absolutely incredible. I can't believe it. Yeah, but I won't lose another 5. Yeah, but that's amazing. 2 stone is absolutely
that's kind
incredible.
Of my job really is like, that's what I do.
Yeah, but
in terms of even if it's like, oh, you look amazing, or well done on getting that new house, or well done on that promotion.
Yeah, what, you've saved 10 grand? My goodness, that's incredible.
Again, I would say, in my opinion, as a British culture, we are, I say this all the time, sometimes I say it to clients, and a lot of people agree with me on this point, is like, not everybody, but as a general rule, in the UK, like, working class people, this is kind of what we're like, is like, someone drive past in a Ferrari and you're like, prick. And it's like, we just jump straight to that person's.
No.
Yeah, this is me talking from experience and knowing those kind of people. We do often look at people who are in better situations than us and just assume that they are lucky, or they've had better, easier journey than us. Sometimes they have, sometimes they might have been born into money, whatever, but sometimes they genuinely may have worked from the bottom up. But we often go,
does it matter though? Does it matter why someone's got a Ferrari?
No, but I'm saying no, it doesn't. What I'm saying is that is the mentality, rather than going, well done, mate. In America, they're probably the other side of going, hey man, that's amazing, oh, you're awesome. And it's probably a bit fake. I don't know, I'm not American. I've actually never been American.
I just think it's really nice that they celebrate small little things like that.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's gay, and his sister lives in America, and he went to America, and he said everyone was almost celebrating the fact that he was gay, which is amazing. I'm not saying it isn't, but it was he even said it was it was a bit too much, because everyone's like, oh, you're gay, man, that's awesome. It was almost
but it
over.
Is awesome. It's awesome that he's just happy to announce it.
Which I get.
Wouldn't.
But in England, no one would be like that. Would they be like, I'd probably be like, I've got nothing against gay people, but what I'm saying, if someone told me they're gay, I'd be like,
nice.
nice.
It's like saying you've got ginger ale.
Or saying, you know, if someone told me in the same way that someone told me they're straight, you'd be like, there's not really anything to say, but maybe we should be more celebrating just little things about people.
We were having this conversation last night. Went out for dinner, didn't we, with some other people in the gym, but we were saying, one of my other friends said she's a giver, not a taker. She means in terms of gifts and presents and stuff. But we were saying last night, actually, and I say it all the time, I'm quite selfish in the way that I love giving things. I love giving presents. I love giving compliments.
I've got so many things I could say, but I'm not going
to. No, please don't ruin this. I think you get a lot of pleasure. Please do.
I'm not going to say anything.
You get a lot of pleasure from giving gifts or giving compliments that have made someone's day. Now, I've said before to somebody, oh, you look really lovely today. Your tan looks really good. Have you fake tanned? You look great. And they'll go, oh, yeah, I have. Thank you. You made my day. And I feel so good inside that I've said something that might have made someone's day and it cost me nothing, absolutely nothing at all, and I've made them feel good about something. Now, I'm quite selfish in the way that I love doing that. Like, if I see something I like, I will tell somebody. I won't hold back on it. Because I think, why can't you just spread that happiness?
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And I think
somebody who might be thinking,
I suppose if it was like that, everybody was like, the world would be much of a better place. But,
let
me just give you the other side of that. Like, it shouldn't be like this, but again, it is. If you're a lad, you know, you'll know this is a fact. Not all lads, but from my experience, if I go out with my mates and I start overly complimenting them, specifically on the way they look, they'd be like, "Are you coming on to me?"
Yeah, but that'd be weird if you overly complimented anybody.
But it's not very.
Just gave one compliment.
You walk into a group of lads. It's not very often someone will go, "Hell, mate, that top looks good on you." Like.
No, but I don't say, "Oh, your dress looks really good on you." I say, "Oh, I really like your dress." You're being weird. Why is it being weird?
That's an extreme. But what I'm saying
is,
it's more rare that men
compliment. I like your shoes. They're nice. You tell me they go weirdo.
No, I do that. I personally do that now because if I do, I'm like, I like them trainers or that top's nice. But men don't do that as much as women because I see it all the time with women. They're like, "Oh, I love that dress," or "I love them leggings," or whatever. Your hair looks mint like.
I don't know. I've had a few of your mates say a few of my things look nice. Like normal designers.
That's a man to a woman, a man to a man. I'm talking about. A male to a male saying you look good today.
Men
mate.
Can't give compliments just to men. They struggle.
I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying it's less frequent than women do.
Maybe, but maybe
way
we
less.
Need to work on changing that. Then.
No, I do. I do try my best to give anybody compliments, men and women.
Because I feel like linking it back to the name
men
of the
give
podcast,
women comments because it's more of an attraction thing. They actually fancy.
I don't know. I don't think your mates fancy me. Oh, I think we're all just good friends.
No, but they're like red-blooded males,
nice.
And you notice it more. If you're not attracted to a man, being a man, or whatever you're not attracted to, you probably wouldn't notice it as much. I don't know. We're getting massively off topic here.
Do you give compliments out because you're attracted to someone? I don't think you do. I think you give compliments.
No, I'm not saying that, but just okay. Men don't compliment each other.
You're making very sweeping statements, and
I'm not. I reckon if we did a study, and I will look into it and try and prove you wrong, but compliments like something you can't
prove me wrong because it's not possible to look into something.
So because you're never wrong, is how I.
I'm not saying that because I'm not perfect.
She's here we go, perfect. So yeah, that's how I think.
Just think
that's just my experience of men. If you're a man listening to this, let me know if you agree with me.
Well, if you're a man listening to this, you need to go out of your way a little bit more to compliment other men because he thinks no one does it.
Yeah, and I think that's probably not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons why men's mental health is in such a worse state than women's.
Like, for example, we had a photo shoot yesterday and you said to the photographer, yeah, you look really good. What have you been doing?
I'm saying that's me personally, but I'm thinking about, again, the wider population of men.
Yeah, but you can't make sweeping statements. You only make your judgments based on the men that you know, and that might not necessarily be
based on the average time that I've spent with men in other positions with men. And I also spend a lot of time with women as well, and I've noticed that women, again, ladies, you'll probably agree with this, ladies often compliment each other more than men do. Because we're just...
I compliment everyone.
Men would be more likely to take the piss out of you first, go, what is that top you've got on? That is what lads... And it's like, that's like a kind of a lad's way of hugging you a little bit. Because he wouldn't actually hug you, but what I'm saying is...
I'd shove the hug right back if that's how it came.
But that's how lads communicate, it's banter.
It's not banter though, is it?
Yeah, I think if it's in the right context with your group of friends that know you, and as long as it's not a stranger, if you know each other well, you can give each other banter on a certain level. I think that's fine.
But you can't say you like something.
I'm not saying you can't, I'm saying it happens less often, and that is my experience.
Well, what I'm saying is people need to make more of an effort to...
Well, if you listen to this, if you're a man, try and go up to your mate and say, I love what you're wearing.
No, only if you mean it. You're not supposed to say if it's not true.
Just see what his reaction is, and I bet he'll be like, what?
No, they won't. If someone just goes to you and says,
okay, depends how you... Yeah, okay.
You make it weird. The way you're
saying
things,
don't make it out like coming
on
to him, but like, as a man in your head, you're like...
Yeah, but you're making it a thing when it's not a thing.
No, if the lads who listen to this, let me know in the comments, but you might agree. Anyway, let's wrap it up there.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there because we're getting
Final question, then, is do you think you can have the perfect life? Do you think you can be a perfect person? With this. No, we didn't. You didn't give an answer. I did.
Because, no, you can't have a perfect life, but you can have aspects within your life that you deem perfect to you. Yeah, I believe that. I don't think you can have an overall perfect life. Well, you can. Maybe you can at certain times. You might,
temporarily.
Yeah, you might temporarily have a life where everything is just going just right, exactly how you want it for you. Yeah. In your life, how you want things to be, that's all going fine and dandy. And that's when you might have a perfect life. But then, as you say, life comes along and spins those plates at you. And, you know, it might not be perfect anymore, but
100% agree. Yeah. I just think, to summarise this up, the goal should be progression, not perfection, and that's kind of the point of this podcast.
And to compliment people when you meet.
yeah, and that as well. Yeah. So thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We have chatted a lot of shit, but hopefully good shit. Hopefully good shit. And like we say, we're not experts and we don't have all the answers. That isn't what this is about. We're not preaching at you.
It's like our Friday night, just like...
We're not preaching at you. We're just trying to give you some insights in the way we think and my experience with working with people and life experience just in general. So if you do like what we're talking about, you like this episode, please, 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 1, subscribe, and 2, give us a comment. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a review as well, bad or good. You know, we know it won't be perfect, so we can take the criticism as well as the good. Basically, the more comments you give and the more you subscribe and the more people you tell about this, you know, the more people will listen to it and hopefully, you know, take the benefits from it. And even if you just listen to us chatting shit whilst you're driving in your car and it's something to listen to that passes the time, then we're happy with that. Because we don't want this podcast to be perfect. We just want it to help you progress a little bit.
Be better than the last one.
We'll leave it there. See you next time.
Good night. Thank you and good night.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, you rile me up sometimes.
Yeah,
you do. You do it on purpose. I can see you goading me.
I might have got a stick just for stabbing you.